Hello everyone, Dr. Suneel Dhand. Well, it's that time of year again. Christmas is fast approaching, a very special time of the year when hopefully everybody gets a chance to be with family, with loved ones, relaxing away from the routine. And it's a time to reflect and a time to take stock before the new year starts. Now, recently I've been sharing a few videos of me standing up and giving talks. And a lot of people have asked, well, where are you giving these talks? Who is the audience? And some people have even asked whether I can come and speak to their audience. Now, in answer to your question, in my area, we have formed a group of like-minded doctors. Doctors who can see the craziness of our current medical paradigm and how the medical profession is completely and utterly broken, and we have a system which is crumbling before our very eyes. And we decided that we would all get together and we would regularly talk about these issues. So we hire out a hotel conference room and we take turns speaking on important issues. Now, my talks tend to be a bit more fiery than some of the others, as you might expect. But after the talks, we all have a discussion, we ask questions, and then we all go out for dinner. It's a great support network, and I would encourage anybody out there, particularly in the medical profession, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a pharmacist, whether you're a nurse, to get together with like-minded individuals to talk about these important issues, because that is the only way that change will ever occur, and the only chance we have of one day hopefully overthrowing the idiots who are currently in charge of healthcare and medicine. So on that note, I'm going to share with you a recent talk I did on how the medical establishment is really scared and they will do everything possible to ignore the many natural ways that exist out there to help alleviate many medical ailments. Now, as far as I'm concerned, going natural is always the best way to go. Medicine should be a last resort. So here we go. Let me share this talk with you. And once again, I wish you a very Merry Christmas. So the question is, why is the medical establishment so scared of natural ways to combat illness? Because they truly are. You only have to look online at the reaction of doctors. Now, I know that you here think more in line with me in terms of all the natural things that we can be doing all the time to fight illnesses. But this is something that goes way back. It goes back to the turn of the last century, to the time of Rockefeller and his influence in shaping medical education, particularly within the first part of the last century. The pill for every ill model. Let's completely forget all the natural things that have been used for centuries. And that is why we are currently in the situation we are in, where so many members of the medical establishment not only look on these great natural ways to beat illness with disgust, but also with a great amount of fear as well. So, I want to focus on some natural ways that common ailments can be combated. Things that are not talked about anywhere nearly enough, and there has to be more research in these areas. I'll touch on a few. How many of you here have ever tried the ketogenic diet? Anyone? Okay, there you go. So I will make a confession. I'd never actually personally tried the ketogenic diet. But to me, it makes great sense from a metabolic standpoint because at its core, it will result in a complete metabolic reset because you go into ketogenesis. But I want to throw it out there that even a low-carb diet will achieve many of the amazing effects of a ketogenic diet. Now, a lot of people use the ketogenic diet to lose weight because you're going to dramatically cut calories, you're going to cut the amount of carbs that you're taking in. And there has been some absolutely amazing research. And I can guarantee you this, because this is an entirely natural way to go, if you had even 1/100th of the benefits of a ketogenic diet in a pill or an injection, the pharmaceutical industry would have blasted that all across the media. Everyone would know about it. So going back actually decades, it was found for mental health, particularly in children, a ketogenic diet can be absolutely transformative in reversing many serious mental health issues. Think about that, mental health. We have an explosion now of mental health issues. Why is nobody talking about a ketogenic diet or even a low-carb diet and doing research into it? What other major inflammatory illnesses out there? Well, so many, but even thinking about cancer, I would like to see more research on a ketogenic diet in terms of helping with cancer. Now, I've seen some very promising research so far, and I'm not saying that it would be a cure for cancer once cancer has happened, but think about all of the ways that we treat cancer right now, the establishment ways that we go down. And imagine if going with a ketogenic or even low-carb diet could make a tremendous difference to people's prognosis. And I have a sneaking suspicion, because cancer cells, they thrive off sugar. If you dramatically reduced the amount of carbs and sugar you were taking in, it may really help. And I would like to see more research into this. So think about this, a simple dietary intervention where studies have shown so much promise so far. Why are we not talking about it more? Why are so many members of the medical establishment so skeptical when you even talk about this? Say, well, we're throwing these expensive therapeutics at people. Why don't we just experiment, do a trial with a ketogenic diet or even a very low-carb diet and see what it does? Because I have a suspicion that for many, many illnesses out there, whether it's mental health, inflammatory, you are going to see dramatic improvements. Let's talk now about natural supplements. I'm a huge fan of natural supplements. How many of you here take natural supplements? Okay, yeah, all right, there we go, yeah. All of you here, and doesn't surprise me because you're here because we have a similar mindset on the lunacy of our current medical paradigm. I'm a true believer in natural supplements. Natural supplements are not the same as big pharma. Pharmaceutical products are artificially synthesized in a lab. They're an entirely foreign product in the body. And I'm not saying that pharmaceutical products can't be good. Of course they can be good. And even when I'm giving this talk, I'm not saying reject all the wonders of modern pharmaceutical science to some degree, whether it's antibiotics or some other great drugs. But we have gone too far. The pendulum has swung so far that we're all about these artificially synthesized products and not enough about all of the natural supplementation which is out there. And why this is amusing, I've seen this happen time and again. Fewer things trigger the establishment more than when you talk about natural supplements. I have seen, and I've experienced myself when I talk about natural supplements, the onslaught from establishment doctors. And what's so interesting is that natural supplements, which contain products that humans have been consuming for thousands of years without any difficulty, they are cheap, and studies have shown a lot of promise. But yet, a lot of these modern-day doctors, backed by the mainstream media, are all about these very, very potent and I would say toxic interventions with a ton of side effects that can potentially bankrupt people. So natural supplements are out there, and I'll tell you some of my favorite ones. My favorite one by far is turmeric, containing curcumin. And I talked to a couple of you earlier. There is a wealth of evidence out there for a number of conditions, whether we're talking about infection, whether we're talking about inflammatory conditions, heart disease, gut conditions, brain conditions, for the effectiveness of curcumin. Am I saying it's going to magically reverse all illnesses out there? Of course not. But these studies are so promising because curcumin, which is in turmeric, is a very potent natural anti-inflammatory antioxidant. I believe in its power. I've been consuming turmeric my whole life. I am of Indian descent, and I grew up eating a lot of Indian food which contains turmeric. Now, I can't always eat Indian food every day, especially when you're in a place which doesn't have the best Indian food around you, and if you don't have time to cook. But if I'm not consuming it through food, I have taken a turmeric supplement for many, many years because I've seen the studies and I believe in its potency. What other natural supplements am I a fan of? Well, after turmeric, I would say ginger is my second favorite supplement. Because, like turmeric, maybe not to the same degree when you look at studies, it is a very potent anti-inflammatory antioxidant. The compound in there is gingerol. And again, multi-system benefits if you actually study it. And isn't it so interesting? Because doctors, when they're training, will have all these studies thrown at them about all these medicines. But how many doctors out there nowadays? Did any of you in medical school learn about the potent effects of gingerol or curcumin? No? No? Of course not. Of course you didn't, because that's not the way things are set up. Ginger would be second. Other supplements, there are many, many Indian spices out there and spices which have been used in China for thousands of years. Whether we're talking about ajwain, whether we're talking about neem, whether we're talking about simple things like black pepper that we're all familiar with. Urge you to go online. Many of you have, but I would urge anybody else listening to go online and look at the benefits, the anti-inflammation effects of many, many spices, even natural herbs out there. It's tremendous. My other favorite supplement, which is very needed nowadays, is vitamin D. Vitamin D deficiency is a true pandemic. We live very artificial lives. We're indoors, we're not getting sunlight. We are built to be outdoor creatures, but we spend most of our lives indoors. And of course, this is more of an issue in certain demographics. If you live in a colder climate, but vitamin D is not only important for strong bones, we all know that, but it's also very important for good metabolic and immune health. So my own advice is for anybody out there to have their vitamin D levels checked at least once a year. And I'm often shocked at how low people's vitamin D levels are. Vitamin D is crucial, and if you can't get it from sunlight, then you will need a supplement. So there are other supplements as well, but I wanted to at least touch on those. But it is astonishing to me that so many proven benefits of taking these simple compounds that have been around for thousands of years, but the medical establishment looks at it with so much distrust. How utterly ridiculous is that, a simple intervention that many people can take? And I'm glad with the statistics, it's very obvious that many people believe in natural supplements, and if it works for lots of people, then it works for lots of people. Don't let any doctor, well, I know you guys won't, but don't let any doctor tell you that something doesn't work if you've seen evidence and you know that it works for you. What else is natural out there? But yet the medical establishment moves immediately to intervene with pharmaceutical products. Well, depression, mild depression. It is astonishing to me how the medical establishment views depression. Because I know of situations, and I'm sure you're all familiar as well, where doctors will literally say, oh, you feel a bit depressed, here's a prescription pad, or type it on my computer, here, take this antidepressant. And they will literally talk, and I often smile inside when I hear doctors and even other medical professionals talk and say, oh, that somebody's a bit depressed, are they on an antidepressant? Are they on an antidepressant? As if it's some magical way to solve the problem, as if the evidence is so strong that you give people this pill and magically they feel better, because actually the evidence when we're talking about mild depression for antidepressants is pretty weak indeed. And let me tell you something, which actually in many studies is better than an antidepressant: exercise. Multiple studies, research shows that people who simply go and exercise compared with antidepressants have much, much better benefits in terms of the mood boost. Most of us know this, but I would ask you this: how much does the medical establishment talk about this? How much do they promote this basic fact that you can tell somebody? Of course, maybe not everyone will do it, but if we had a different system where perhaps people had a coach, perhaps you told people how much simply just moving more, doing some gentle weights, going to the gym, an exercise class, going dancing, will lift your symptoms of depression way more than a pill. But our current paradigm doesn't promote that. There are so many other natural things. I could talk for so long. I know my time is coming to an end for this particular talk, but getting outdoors, getting some vitamin D, we've already talked about that. cutting out ultra-processed foods, a natural thing that anybody can do. Eat natural food. And it's astonishing how much your physical and mental symptoms can reverse in a matter of weeks. But our medical paradigm is completely broken. We are being completely overtaken by the forces of profit and a corporate culture that are all about, here's a pill, here's an injection, take it forever. The people providing this will make a ton of money from this, and it may not work, probably won't work a lot of the time. You will have a whole load of side effects, but we'll completely forget all the amazing natural things that we can do, which have much higher percentage benefits than all of these medications. And the funny thing is that we as a medical profession, and I know, again, that a lot of you think the same as me, right? Because you do talk about natural things with your patients. Yeah, of course. Yeah. And that's the way it should be. But we are in the minority here. How many doctors do that? Because our minds have been hacked as the medical profession. Here's a problem. Here's a pill. Here's an injection. It doesn't matter that the studies might show a minuscule benefit, studies which have often been manipulated. But we completely forget the amazing natural things around us, which have far, far better benefits than going down the medicine route. So I will leave you with those thoughts. Thank you.